Hello, Turner families. My name is Abby Linville, and today I am going to share with you about your parental rights. I want to start off by telling you our goals for what we would like to achieve today. We have 4 goals. Goal number 1 is to build a partnership between parents and educators. Goal 2 is to create common expectations between parent and educators so that we all clearly understand the role we play in your child's education. Goal 3 is to inform parents of students with or without disabilities of their rights. And goal 4 is to create open lines of communication between parents and educators. We value you and your input, and we think these open lines of communication are essential. So we're going to start off by talking about what is the definition of a parent. According to the Kansas State Department of Education, a parent can be defined as a natural biological parent, an adoptive parent, a legal guardian, or a person acting as a parent. A person acting as a parent would be a person who is living in the home with the student and is legally responsible for them. It could also be an appointed education advocate that would be appointed by the state, or a foster parent that has been identified as an education advocate for a student. So now that we know what the definition of a parent is, let's explore what your rights are. So here are some basic parental rights that we value. We believe that you should have timely, clear communication from your teacher. And we know that your child is important to you and that you have a right to advocate for your child. We also think that you have the right to be informed about the expectations that we have set for your child through their curriculum, and that we should clearly communicate to you how your child is performing on assessments that they are being given at school. Under a federal law called FERPA, which stands for the Family Education and Privacy Act rights, you may have access to your students' education records. If, when viewing those records, you feel like any of the information is inaccurate, you have the right to request a change. You also should know that your child's personally identifiable information is protected under FERPA and cannot be shared with outside parties without your permission. So now let's dig in and talk a little bit more specifically about parental rights in regards to special education. So every student who is identified as having a student with an exceptionality or a special need is should be provided with a free and appropriate education. This comes at no cost and is provided at the public's expense under public supervision. The education must meet the state board standards, and they must be placed in an appropriate preschool, elementary, or secondary setting, and they must be provided with an IEP. An IEP is an individualized education program. It is a plan of special education and related services that work together to meet the unique needs of your student and ensures that they are receiving that free and appropriate education. You are, as a parent, a valued member of the IEP team. Your rights are clearly defined in the procedural safeguards or the parent rights notice. These are provided to you at least one time per school year and can also be provided to you at any time that you request them. Because we value you as a member of your child's education, the law affords you the right to be provided with prior written notice anytime the school is wanting to initiate or change the identification, evaluation, or educational placement of your child. They also need to give you prior written notice anytime that they want to change a service that your child is receiving. We also must have your consent prior to initiating an evaluation for your student. Anytime that we are needing to do a reevaluation of your student to see whether or not they are continuing to qualify for special education, anytime that we are adding a service to your child's IEP, and anytime that we are doing a change in placement or service for your student. You should know that your consent must be informed consent, which means that we must make sure that we have clearly explained everything that we are discussing with you, and that you are being provided that information in your narrative language. You also need to have the understanding that your consent is voluntary and that you may revoke that consent at any time. You must be provided a notice of meeting at least 10 days prior to having your student's IEP meeting. This notice should be in writing. It needs to provide you with the date and the time of the meeting and the nature of what is going to be discussed at that meeting. And you should also know that you may invite other people that you deem have knowledge or expertise that would be helpful to us as the IEP team to the meeting. Parents of students who are gifted also qualify for many of the same rights as the students who have special needs. There are some slight differences that are clearly outlined in the procedural safeguards or the Parent Rights Notice. One of those things is that a child cannot qualify for being in the gifted program until they are over the age of 5. We know that it is your role to advocate for your child, and it is something that is clearly important to us, and we know is important to the success of your student in our school system. So we know that they cannot make those decisions for themselves, and that you are the person that does that, and that you truly care and want to support us in our efforts. And we thank you for that and look forward to continuing to work with you. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to your classroom teacher or your child's case manager, and you are always welcome to contact your school principal as well. We look forward to working with you, and thank you so much for listening today.